In our previous lesson, we briefly touched on data validation. But as we are dealing with data management, the topic of data validation deserves its own video. Data validation is a feature that restricts user input. As the person responsible for a workbook, you may often want to control other users' input to make sure all data entries are accurate and consistent. That's where data validation comes into play, as you can create validation rules that controls what kind of data can be entered into a certain cell. Some examples of what you can do with data validation are: allow data entries of a specific length, allow only numeric or text values in a cell, show an input message when the user selects a cell, show a warning message when incorrect data has been entered, restrict dates and times outside a given range, and much more. So, how do we apply data validation? Let's use this example table to illustrate the process. Let's use Purchase ID. Select all the cells in the field. Then go to Data tab, Data Tools, and click the Data Validation button. Alternatively, you can open data validation directly by using Alt-D-L in your keyboard. Just make sure to click them separately, not together. The first step is to define the criteria for validation. Let's do an example to make a rule for Purchase ID that restricts users to enter a 4-digit number between 1000 and 9999. To do this, in Settings, we'll select the option for Whole Number. In Data, choose Between, and then enter 1000 and 9999 as the range. Now that the rule is configured, we can click OK or move to another tab to create instructions or an error message for the user. Let's do that. Select Input Message. This will allow us to display a message to the user with instructions or explanations. Make sure Show Input Message when cell is selected is checked. OK, as title we'll enter Instructions, or any other title you may prefer. Now for the message, enter a 4-digit number from 1000 to 9999. Okay, now let's go to Error Alert. Here we have 3 different options. Stop, which prevents users from entering invalid data. Warning, which warns users that the data is invalid but does not prevent entering it. And Information, which only informs users about an invalid data entry but doesn't prevent it. For our purpose, let's use Stop. As title, let's use Invalid Entry. And for message, a 4-digit number from 1000 to 9999 is required. Now click OK. We can see that when one of the cells of the field is selected, it displays already the message with instructions. Good. Now, I'll try to enter a new record directly in the table. So, I'll go to the next empty row under the table, and I'll simply enter 2 digits. Click Tab, and there you go. We are getting the error message that also prevents us from creating the record with wrong data. Now I'll try again, but this time using a combination of letters and numbers to see if we can cheat. How about if we try with the entry form? I'll select a cell in the table, then launch the entry form. Okay, we'll enter a wrong ID. Press Tab, then continue to fill the form. Once done, click Enter and we'll get the error message. As you can see, one limitation here is that we only get informed about the rule until after we try to submit the form. It's not too bad, but something to keep in mind. Okay, there are many different possibilities you can explore about how to integrate data validation in your table. The more you can control the quality of the data at the time of entry, the more reliable data you'll have to work with and analyze. In the next lesson, we look at a very useful and helpful type of validation: the use of drop-down list to control what the user can select and enter. See you there.